I don't have a safety topic, but I do want to say something. Chad, when I walked in this morning, Chad's like, man, you know what we did yesterday? No, he said, do you know what you did yesterday? I said, I didn't do anything. And he's like, yeah, we moved the tallest in height piece we've ever moved. And
You don't drive a truck.
I don't drive a truck. And I'm like, you know what? We did. And that's, so long story short, we moved a pretty big piece yesterday.
Big to us.
What?
It was big to us.
It was big to us. It was tall.
Yeah.
It was other
wide
than
too.
that, it wasn't that crazy for us, but it was the tallest piece we've ever moved.
Yep.
But where did that start? That started with the shop having the equipment right and ready, right? Then it came into the office and going through the permits and going through the permit process, which was a feat in itself.
Yeah. Counties, cities.
And then it came down to the two guys who did the route survey, who was spot on. Like, hey, this is at this address, this is where this line is low. We're going to have to go around that. We're going to have to pick it up. And then it came down to the actual movement of it, which was probably the easy part.
Yeah.
No offense, John, but
Yeah, John drove it.
John drove it. But it was a total team effort.
It was.
And I was pretty proud of that. It was
You were
cool.
nervous. You were nervous. You were very, very nervous.
I was very nervous, and here's why. There's two things what don't I like? Electricity and snakes.
Right.
And we, well, there you have it.
That
we
was
were-
funny.
we
That was
were-
just what a combination.
We were
Well-
borderline power line height.
We had to
really?
we had to move lines.
Yep.
Oh wow.
And I was the guy doing it, and I hate it.
Yeah, I would hate that.
And then it was going to rain. And Trash says, well, don't touch him if it's going to rain. I said, what would you like me to do?
We'll call the city. We don't need to go to a funeral. And they
so-
knew we were coming and gave us approval and all that. But
Yeah.
it was,
How far did it move, if you don't mind me asking?
It
Roughly
was-
90 miles.
yeah,
Okay.
it was, but it was
50
90.
as a crow
It was
flies.
50 if you were in a personal vehicle, but 90 by the time we had to go through routing in small cities and we had to ramp exits to get over bridges and
And I know there's people out there that have done bigger,
Yeah,
and we're
way
going to get
bigger.
whatever. But
it was a feat to us.
yeah,
I mean,
it was
we've always
16.4 in the air.
Yeah.
Legal height's 13.6, so you're
almost 3 feet
3
taller
feet
than
taller.
a normal semi.
We didn't hit any bridges. We didn't take down any power lines, and we got it there safely and effectively, and I was pretty proud
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's one of 3. I think there's 3 more to come. So, yeah.
We didn't know that till it was on the trailer.
Right. But taking that back to safety, I mean, if you don't do those things, because there's guys or companies out there that would just go hook up to it and take it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that you see on the news that hit a bridge or
Eventually.
yeah, it's eventually going to catch up to you. And we, from an operational standpoint, Chad did an awesome job. Tim did an awesome job backing up Chad while he was doing the dirty work, I'm going to call it. But we had to call the cities that we went through, the counties that we went through, the railroads that we were crossing.
Really?
Yeah, the state.
The Board of Regents in a
yeah,
town.
yeah,
What is the railroad? Where does that, why?
Because we only have so much clearance because the trailer's so low.
and they need to know if there's
shit.
issues. We need
Oh,
to know
duh,
what
obviously.
what the crossings are, and so we need to know who we can get a hold of so they can shut down the trains if we get hung up.
I was going
And-
to say, those are the guys you
Yeah.
see that don't do it.
Yeah.
They get hung up, and then they're a viral YouTube
Yeah.
video.
yeah,
And again, it wasn't like we didn't move a nuclear reactor to a waste site, right? But it was
yeah.
really cool to see it all come together, and it started a long time ago,
a couple weeks ago.
and now
You know,
just
well, it started. We quoted this thing months ago, but then it finally went and saw it boots on the ground a couple weeks ago, and then I mean, from there you start the planning process. You can't start too early, and then you got to know and figure out the states, figure out all the routes. Hey, this is our first guess, and then once you have a couple dialed in, you sit down and have another meeting, and you send Travis and Kurt, and they go make it happen and say, no, you can't do that, or yes, you can, and
yeah.
here's what we got to do. But bringing that all back to safety, it's the little details that count. That little extra step, that little extra, hey, we've made this mistake before. Not saying we've hit bridges or anything like that, but we forgot to do this last time. Let's make sure we don't forget to do it next time. It just puts everyone, when it's their time to dribble the ball and this whole thing as a play, puts them in the best position to be able to advance and make it go smooth.
And I mean, there's times where I know customers are probably getting annoyed with the questions we're asking, but that's why.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for sure.
It went great.
Awesome.
Pretty proud. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Everyone. So
Perfect.